Welcome to Straight from the Muzzle, folks, where we are anything but straight. My name is Space.
And I'm Sparrow.
And we welcome you to our episode, which is about what today?
So, holidays are coming up, so we thought we would end our season with a bang and talk about the positive impact of the furry community.
I like how I'm all like super bright and you're just like, all right, we're super chill. Welcome to Talk Radio.
You know what? Maybe it's just because I'm tired.
Maybe, or maybe it's just because it's you.
It's me. Am I usually peppier than this? I don't know.
No, you're usually pretty chill, and I'm usually the one that's pretty peppy.
It's because you're. It's just because you're
I'm
hella gay.
Yeah, that's the reason why. It's because I'm gay.
Us at the same time just came to the same conclusion.
That's
Lesbians
how we
are
roll.
a different kind of gay.
Yeah, you guys are more chill and laid back kind of gay.
Oh god.
Anyways.
So, when the holidays roll around, charity is something that comes up a lot in conversation. You can't even go into the grocery store without somebody ringing a bell in your face asking for money, or, it is the time for giving. By the way, don't give to the Salvation Army. They're homophobic. But we thought...
Are they really?
Yes, they are. You didn't know that?
No.
Yep, they are. They donate to anti-LGBT causes, so I never bother with them during the holidays when they're around. But, you know who's not homophobic is
me.
The fandom. And you, because obviously...
Yeah.
And so the furry fandom is inherently connected to charity. I feel like that is something that gets brought up a lot, especially when furries try to explain what furry is to non-furries. I feel like charities and fundraisers always end up getting brought up because it's a big plus in our fandom. And while that is something that's discussed a lot, I feel like a lot of folks don't fully realize the numbers behind that statement. Like, yes, the furry fandom is very charitable and giving, and they care a lot. But what is
sharing is caring?
Yes, sharing is caring, Space.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to talk about the positive impact of the furry community, and we have 3 different impacts we're going to break down. First is the inner fandom impact. How does the fandom impact those within their own community in a positive way? So furries helping furries. Then we have outer fandom impacts, which is how the fandom impacts those outside of our own community. So how do furries help others that are not furries? And then to end our episode off, we're going to discuss how conventions go hand in hand with charities, and how furry conventions specifically consistently raise large amounts of money for specific charities. So that's how we're going to be breaking down today's episode.
Man, I was really trying hard to see if I could insert myself into one of those impacts and be like, a deep impact. Like the movie. I was just trying to make a pun. See, it didn't work.
I've never seen that movie.
What?
Sorry.
Come on. It's an asteroid hitting the Earth and destroying most of it. I mean,
that doesn't sound like a positive impact, Space.
It's a sci-fi movie, and the furry fandom is all about sci-fi.
So it started anyways.
I mean, there's a baby that's born in the end. Does that help? I guess. I mean, sure.
I don't think, no, it doesn't.
Okay. All right. Well, whatever. I tried.
So we're going to start off with inner fandom impacts.
Selfish much? I'm just kidding.
Selfish much, yeah.
It's all about me.
Jesus Christ. Space.
Anyways, I'm sorry.
So I've said this a lot before in previous episodes, where the furry community is all about the anthropomorphic animals and animals in general, sure, but we're humans first. And I feel like that could be on a bingo card for Straight from the Muzzle if Sparrow says, but we're people first. But it's true, we're people first, and I feel like the furry fandom is one of those fandoms that really cares about its people genuinely. And a big chunk of our community is artists, and how whether you are in an online space or whether you're at a convention, art is the primary thing you are consuming. And this is amazing because it means that furries are constantly supporting our artists first. They support their own artists before they support any type of company or corporation. Sure, we have fan art of anthropomorphic animals from movies or video games, but more than anything, we're fans of each other's characters and each other's comics and our own VR models and our own species, all that stuff. So our artists come before corporations. And when we support our artists first, it helps these artists build successful careers, and it gives people opportunities who can't work typical jobs a chance to be successful. Maybe somebody can't work because they are disabled in some way, or maybe they have extreme anxiety, or maybe they're on the spectrum, or they just need some type of backup job to be able to make rent, because we all know inflation sucks right now. The furry fandom supporting the Unless what?
I said unless you're into that.
Oh.
You know, because
Oh, shut up. Oh my God. Okay, that didn't click right away. Yeah, sure. You make a pretty penny on inflation, Art.
Jeez.
Wrong type. But it gives artists an opportunity to be able to follow the dream of living off your art, which is extremely difficult to do. But I feel like with the furry fandom here to back you up, it's still hard work. And you're not necessarily going to be like rolling in the dough, but it gives artists an opportunity to be able to live off of their work, which is a part of that impact. Outside of a fandom like furry, for example, it's difficult to make money and to live on your own with art only, especially if you're just freelancing and you're not a part of the industry. Yeah. So being able to support artists is a huge impact in individual people's lives.
Now, the other aspect of the inner fandom is helping each other out. And this is kind of like my, I guess you could say, wheelhouse. Furries have an innate caring for those within their community, even if they may be strangers. And because of this, when they need a hand, they turn to the fandom first. And that's a total, like 100% truth right there. If we're having issues, we usually turn to our friends that we've made within the fandom first before we even turn to our own family. And that should tell you something. It should tell you that we trust each other way more than we actually do. Is there something wrong with us?
Think maybe. About it? You know what? Now that I think about it, maybe we all need a little bit of therapy.
Maybe. But I mean, if you really think about it, like it's all about furries first. Well, humans first. I guess, what do you say? What was it?
Both were humans first, but...
Human first. And it's a human thing to want to reach out and contact each other. And so it's just such an interesting thing within our own community. I've studied other like fandoms. Nothing really makes sense unless it comes to the community that we have. Everything just seems so personal, so friendly, so loving, so outgoing. It's wonderful. Personal fundraisers are commonly shared within the furry community as well. That could be things of, let's say I need help with a hospital stay. This is something I see a lot actually on Twitter, that, you know, someone has gone to the hospital or my dog has gone to the emergency room and they don't have the funds to pay for it. And so they start up a little, fund up on Twitter, and then people actually donate. I've seen people that I've never even seen before or met donate to a random person just because they know that they need the help. Yeah. I don't really know of any people just outside in general that would just do that. In my own friend, like outside of the fandom, I don't really know. You would have to really work hard for it. In the fandom though, totally different story. It's really, like, really interesting.
You're a part of this family, and if you need help, then they'll share the help. Even if they can't donate, a lot of furries will at least spread it, you know, which is saying a lot.
Because we can spread things like wildfire.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. Yeah. That's much harder to accomplish outside of a fandom environment, and I think that could be very helpful. I do see that a lot, and I bring it up, like hospital bills, vet bills, burst pipe in the house, anything like that, or I have to move, it's an emergency, my landlord did this or that. And every person I follow that I've had instances like that has gotten enough help from the fandom or selling artwork or getting a commission slot taken that helped push them out of a bad spot.
We've done it before. I think we've done it once for you. We've done it once for an artist that we had on a really long time ago named Avalon Boom.
Mm-hmm.
And she needed a lot of help, so we kind of did a little fundraiser stream. People gave.
Yeah, I remember on Twitter, this was like 5-6 years ago, I was talking about how I was having trouble affording some blood strips, and someone on Twitter just straight up was like, what brand do you get? And they ordered some for me online. And they got shipped to my house. Like, it was awesome. It was such a little thing, right? But it was really neat.
And like, even you, okay, I'm going to use you as an example here too. There was a friend of ours, if you guys ever remember the name Punya, a friend of ours, or Punya's husband, I guess you could say, also needed insulin. And you just happened to have an abundance of insulin that you could send, right?
Yeah, so my mom got free samples of insulin from her doctor because our insurance didn't cover insulin at the time. So that's how I got mine. So I just got her to order a couple of extra vials, as much as she could, and I shipped them off to Punya's husband so they could have some insulin.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's very illegal, but you know.
I mean, it is what it is, but you know, I'm sure a lot of people have done things like that.
Oh yeah.
And the other thing is emotional comfort and advice can also come from our own fandom. A lot of people, and I'm talking a lot, especially younger furries, who can't really express themselves to their parents, mostly because they live in a conservative family. I'm not going to say Republican because it can also be in a Democratic family too. It just depends on the situation. We'll just say that. And they really need some help, and they need someone to talk to, and they really can't talk to their friends because they're afraid their friends will judge them. So where do they turn to? The fandom. Because if anything, the fandom has experienced everything. There's someone in the fandom that has gone through the exact same thing that other person has. And those two just happen to meet and they start talking. And you believe it or not, you might save someone's life, or you might just make someone's day just by acknowledging their existence. And that happens in our fandom, that's just on a daily basis.
It's really interesting because while the fandom is a lot smaller compared to other franchise interests like Star Wars or anime or whatever, because we have a lot of minorities in our fandom, I should say. There's a lot of queer people, trans people, a lot of people on the spectrum. So if you are having issues revolving around any of those topics, then Furry's got you covered. So it is helpful because if let's say you're struggling hard with depression and gender identity, those are very specific things. It might be hard to find a friend in real life that could relate to that. But because the fandom has so many people who have gone through those things before, you could find solace through them.
Which is really, really nice.
So while the fandom does take care of itself very well, something else that they do is they reach out to other communities. So we're going to move on to talking about some outer fandom impacts. Because the fandom is inherently caring, that's just the name of the game, it feels natural to extend help to outside the fandom.
So with outer fandom impacts, there's a lot of things that we do outside of what we normally do. And I know it sounds really weird how I just said that. But one good example of fandom impact outwards is fur meets. Fur meets usually take place outside of our own home. So like bowling alleys, we're generating funds for a business, or sometimes they're out in the park. And then sometimes we even do events. Like for instance, here in Salt Lake City, there's something called Strut Your Mutt. And it's basically people that on a walk for their dogs. I can't remember exactly what the charity is, but I know that every year, without fail, our friends get together and they do a Strut Your Mutt event with them. And they get in their fursuits and they go out there and they kind of just walk with everyone and have fun with the community. And by doing that, you're raising awareness to the community, but then you're giving back to the community as well, which is kind of a really cool thing to do. I think I've seen fur groups or meets go out to hospitals, go to children's hospitals specifically, and they'll go around to different floors and they'll see the kids. And I don't know about you guys, but when I worked at the children's hospital, they need all the positivity they can get. I'm not kidding. Anything. And I've seen furry groups go in there and I'm just like, thank God.
Mm-hmm. I mean, can you imagine being a kid and you're sick and you're in the hospital and the only thing you're looking at every day is just a hospital? That's it. Your white walls, your bed, and whoever chooses to come by. Can you imagine being stuck in the hospital for weeks and then all of a sudden some kind of ginormous husky comes in your room to like give you a hug? That would make a little kid's day. And it does. Anything like that. School events, going to hospitals. You could even consider older folks at nursing homes. They love it when furries come in there too. Fursuiters just giving them something interesting to do.
To look at least.
To look at, to interact with.
No one wants to come visit them, so why not go visit them?
Yeah. It's wonderful. I know there is a group in Atlanta called Atlantimals, and they were a little bit dormant during COVID for a while, but they bounced back this year. And already they have had a handful of different events they've gone to and helped support to help raise money. It's just within the metro Atlanta community. They've done the Atlanta Lab Rescue, Riverwood Farm and Rescue, and the Lift Up Atlanta Summer Fun Festival. So they go to different runs, they go to small events just to help entertain children, whether they're there just to help out with an event or to help raise money. But it's a fur meet that is specifically for charity work and fundraisers. So you could have a fur meet that's just you having fun with your furry friends in your community, or you could have a fur meet that is specifically for charity, or you could do a little bit of both. But it is a great way for furries to extend past the fandom to help out.
And while we're on this topic, I'm just going to go ahead and just throw this out there. You don't have to have a fur meet to go out and just give. You can go out and do activities, or you can help with charities. And in this case, I'm actually going to be volunteering to go help out at something called Festival of Trees, which is something that's here in Utah. And what it is the community comes together, businesses, just individuals, families, and they create these beautiful, extravagant looking Christmas trees, and they raise money. And all the money that goes from selling these trees in the end, all the proceeds go to Primary Children's Hospital, which is such a huge thing. And it's such a big part of Utah. And this year, they actually opened up to having volunteers come in and help in something called the Kids Corner, which is just like this crafting corner for kids to come and enjoy. And so I thought, yeah, you know what? I want to volunteer and have some fun. So I'm actually going to volunteer next week to go for about 6 hours just to play around and have fun. And I can't wait to do it. But then again, that's me. I love giving. So.
Oh, yeah. And you could do things independently. Definitely. You do not have to rely on a fur mate group.
No.
And that goes if you have any type of artistic talent or not. You could donate your time, you could donate your ability, or if you are an artist, you could donate your artistic ability. I know in my community, in my hometown, they have a scarecrow making contest every October, and they have the scarecrows out in the square for the whole month. And you vote for the one you like the best, and whoever wins gets proceeds donated to a fund of their choosing. And I helped my sister's high school. This was before I taught in my own high school, but my sister's high school wanted to apply to try and raise money for the library because they needed more books. And so I helped them build one because I make the burlap masks every year. Mm-hmm. So I helped them build a burlap mascot. And I built the head, and then they built the body, and they ended up winning. It was really cool. You
make some really cool burlap heads, though. I love seeing your burlap heads. They're so much fun.
I do like making them. It's very fun. But yeah, you could apply your artistic skill elsewhere as well to help your community out in different ways.
Within the community itself, though, there's also content creators and artists in the fandom that have worked to create opportunities to give to outer communities as well. We've got several examples here. Do you want to just start off with the first one?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of these are independent people or small groups of friends that stream together. And this is where a lot of our numbers are going to start coming in. So these different creators have raised money in different ways. So the Furry Degenerates, they raised $5,022 to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. Those were some streamers online.
That's huge.
Yeah, that's a pretty good bit. And then we have...
I'm going to interrupt. I think any amount of money that you can raise and donate to an organization, a research, St. Jude's, whatever it is, it's still good enough. Even if it's $5, it's still better than nothing.
Yeah, and the fact that these all helped raise money pretty much from home, that's a big
because they want
too.
To. Yeah. There's no gain out of this. The only gain that they get is the satisfaction that they got to donate something.
Yeah. Absolutely. So that's the Furry Degenerates. They also have another streamer. We have Adler the Eagle, who I love. They had a New Year stream, and they raised around $13,000 to the Give Kids the World Foundation. Unimaginative, those are some YouTubers. They streamed and raised $17,000 for the American Red Cross, and that was specifically to help with the Australian bushfires that happened in 2020. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
2020 had a lot of shit going on. That was
when the world was on fire.
Yeah, the world was on fire. The world was sick.
God, it's just been one thing after another.
This one is crazy. So in Ridgeland, Mississippi, the mayor, who was an asshole, had cut annual funding to their library because they had a station that advertised different LGBTQ themed books that they had in the library itself. So they made a little display. And so the mayor was like, well, fine, then I'm cutting your funding because you did this. And the funding was around $100,000. And guess who raised $100,000 for that library on their own? Furries did.
Right?
They said, fine, okay, you're going to take it away, then we'll give it to them. That was amazing. Then we have First for Life. This is another streamer, raised $37,787 to Extra Life, which is a video game based
that's the one.
charity.
Extra Life.
Extra Life. And then Sonic Fox, who competes in gaming. He helped raise $22,150 to the Trevor Project, which you have talked about before.
I love the Trevor Project.
Trevor Project is a really awesome place to donate to. If anybody wants to look it up, we should probably do an episode just about the Trevor Project because you have events in Utah all about it, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
So something I wanted to talk about that still relates to creator-led charities, but it's its own topic on its own, is Dog Bomb and the ALS Association. So Dog Bomb was a furry who was diagnosed with ALS. Can you describe to them what ALS is?
So ALS, if no one really knows what it means, its actual abbreviation means amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. Basically what it does is it impacts the nervous system, and it can degenerate nerve cells through the spine and through the back and through different parts of the muscles. So what happens is you just become super weak to the point where sometimes you can't even just walk. And the body just kind of like gives up on itself a little bit.
And it's very painful to get through as well. Once it starts taking over completely.
ALS is almost like a death sentence.
It is. Yeah, there's no cure for it currently. And a lot of people have to, gosh, I can't remember what it's called. It's when you choose to end your life medically because you have a life-ending disease. What is that called? Do you know?
So I believe it's euthanasia, but it's
a different word, though.
Let me see if I can find it here.
No, it's not doctor-assisted suicide either.
I guess. It's just called assisted suicide.
Is it assisted death? I am not sure. I am so sorry, listeners. But it's often so difficult to get through that if you live in a state that allows doctor-assisted suicide, then a lot of people choose that. Or they will travel to get that done because just going through until the end is so excruciatingly painful. Most people try to not get to that point. So Dog Bomb was a furry who was diagnosed with ALS. And as soon as he got the diagnosis, he was really gung-ho about trying to help raise money for the ALS Foundation. And just on their own for the Walk to Defeat ALS event, this happened in November of 2018, Dog Bomb was still alive when this was happening, and he and a ton of furries went to this specific charity walk, and their group raised $33,735 to the ALS Foundation. And that was when he was still alive and they participated in that specific event. And this created a snowball effect.
Oh, yeah.
So Dog Bomb passed away in April of 2020. And after he had passed away, furries swarmed to just continue donating to the ALS Association. And because he was just such a big part of the fandom, he was just the kind of nurturing touch that the fandom needed around that time. So when he passed, it created this wave of emotions in the fandom.
To still remember Dog Bomb, a lot of people do the lei, like the rainbow flowers. So if you ever see that and you're wondering, like, where did that come from? That's where it came from.
Yep. I know the month after he passed away, FWA was going on, and I drew a room poster for our hotel room. And underneath the poster, I put some command hooks up and had some leis so people could take them for free if they walked by our hotel room door. But after he had passed away, the donations didn't stop. And in 2019 and 2020 alone, furries raised over $200,000 specifically for the ALS Foundation.
I'm like choking up over here.
Like, the website for donations the day he passed away was crashing. It was insane. I've never seen the fandom come to a halt like that before, and I haven't seen it happen again since then. That was the first and last time I've ever seen every single furry on every single platform talking about the same thing. And it was sad, but it was also beautiful in its own way. I have 4 individual names I did want to bring up for this data as well. And of course, $200,000 is a lot of money, but because I had the data available to me, I wanted to also mention Boozy Badger raised $27,301 to the ALS Association. Chewy's Cuz raised $1,061 to the ALS Association. Figments raised $26,532. And for Sonapins, who created a dog bomb for Sonapin, and all of their proceeds went to the ALS Association, they raised $11,450. So those are some specific names and numbers that I had found online. And even that, if you just add up those 4 names, that's still such a small part of the whole that was donated. So you could really see how charitable this fandom gets when they truly care about someone or something.
When you think about the grand scheme of the fandom itself, there's a lot of good that goes on to it. And it's easy to fall on the negative and fall into, some of the bad parts of it. But I think overall, there's so much good that outweighs the negative in our fandom alone. And this is just one really good example of it. Where'd you go?
I'm here.
Oh.
I was just making sure you're finished. I didn't want to interrupt.
I was finished. I'm just crying on my end. That's all.
Don't cry. It's okay, Space.
It's so much money. It is so much money that people donated.
And that was just to one cause.
Yeah.
In 2019 to 2020 alone. Absolutely insane. So to cap off this episode, we wanted to hone in on conventions and its charitable impacts. And the reason we want to separate conventions from individual fundraisers is because
conventions typically they're like the workhorse when it comes to a charity.
They pull tons of money.
They do.
It's insane.
Just like a real quick thing, do you know how much money is generated during a 3-day weekend at Further Convention, just for the city alone?
No.
It's about $1.2 million generated to the city.
Yeah, just to the city.
And that was the stat that was about 3 or 4 years ago. So imagine that number has probably increased a lot more.
I know in an interview Uncle Kage was talking about for Anthrocon, there was a pizza place that was about to close its doors permanently. And Anthrocon alone for the weekend, giving them business, gave them enough money to continue staying open for the year.
How cool is that?
Like, insane. And that's just thinking about one shop. Imagine all the other shops that got impacted by furries going to this one city, you know? And when you think about conventions, that's where furries go to gather and to interact with one another in person.
That's our place.
That's our place. So if we have an impact spread out online, imagine just condensing everybody into one city for a long weekend. Imagine how much money is just being generated, not only for businesses, but for charities. Furry conventions do a lot when it comes to bulk charitable impacts. Most conventions are considered non-profit, so they make just enough money to pool into continuing the con for next year, and then the rest goes to their charity of choice. All of the people who are staff don't usually get paid. They run on volunteers only.
Yep.
So the bulk of the profits will go to a specific charity. Furries will also donate from their own pockets during the convention, whether it's at a charity table or a booth or a bucket at where you pick up tickets. And on average, from data from 2019, most conventions stated that people donated on average of $20 to $30 just out of their own pocket during conventions. So that's not counting how much money goes from their ticket, but that's just from their own pocket. That's just on their own. And that data came from Tantro McNally.
Yeah.
So this is data for 2020, so it's a little more recent. And also there are events hosted within conventions, like charity auctions or charity performances, that could also help charities gain more income that comes from more than just the con taking their proceeds and giving it over. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm still choked up.
Get over it.
I can't. I really can't. It's so much. Joking. There's just so much, I don't know, there's just been a lot that's been going on in my own personal life in the past, like not just work, but I dodged 2 bullets. And so just to see 2 bullets of family emergencies, and it's just so good to see numbers like this. It makes me feel so happy, makes me so grateful that I'm in the fandom. So I see numbers like this and I just start to cry.
I was feeling that earlier because I said at the beginning of the episodes, a lot of people will say, yeah, the fandom gives a lot of money to charities, but then they don't know how much money. And I was the same way until today. I was like, yeah, I know the fandom gives a lot of money, but then I actually started reading through the data and I was like, oh my God, like what other fandom does this? None. All other conventions that I could think of are typically for profit. Like, it's insane.
So I think when we talk about the different conventions in 2019 alone, I think we should start with the lowest and make it up to the highest, who donated the most.
Okay. Now, we do have a list here that we're going to be reading off of. And this is as of 2019. So it's 2022 as recording of this episode. Yeah. So a couple years have passed, but COVID impacted cons a lot. So I didn't want to get data from there.
Yeah.
But we have some conventions listed, and they're some of the largest conventions we have. And these numbers we're about to list, it's not how much money they've raised in 1 year. It's how much money they have raised from the first year they've ever started up to 2019. So why don't you go ahead and read these off?
So starting off at the bottom, we've got Confuzzled, who has raised $233,028. For being at the bottom, that's a lot of money.
That's still a lot of money.
That's almost like $250,000 right there. No, it is. It's $250,000, a little bit more than that.
Woof.
Then from up that is Further Confusion, which they raised $236,553. These are separate conventions. So just imagine these furries, just each of these conventions, this is how much they've raised for their charities.
And just for some background information for those listening that might not have context for furry conventions, a lot of furries go to multiple conventions a year because there's only so many of us. So a lot of folks will go to 2 or 3 a year, and these are the biggest ones. So it's crazy to think that not only are the cons donating their proceeds, which is a chunk of this, but a lot of people are also just donating their own pocket money multiple times a year to different conventions and different charities.
Furry Week Atlanta, that's another big hitter. $277,977.
A lot of sevens in that one.
Hello. Eurofurrets, $322,201. Anthrocon, which is known to be one of the biggest ones, is $397,403. And one of the more well-known conventions, Midwest Fur Fest, which usually takes place around Thanksgiving.
Now.
Around now. In 2019, raised a whopping $764,000, $458.
Insane.
That is a lot of money. So, woohoo!
Tons. Now, just the last number for this episode, because those numbers were the total those cons have raised from their first day open to 2019. But in 2019 alone, furries, both independent fundraisers and conventions together, raised over $1 million to various charities. $1,109,974. That is an insane number.
That's huge.
And just so you know, the source for that number is Thabo Meerkat on YouTube, who also got their data from other various sources. But if you would like that, the link to that video will be in the description.
That name sounds so familiar. I watched them on Instagram. I love seeing their fursuit. They have such a cute fursuit. And they're always doing things like this, like information. They're kind of like a news channel almost.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's really cute. So there you go. There you have it. You have a fandom here that is all about giving and wanting to look after each other. And they're so caring. And there's just so much good about this fandom that I really feel like it's probably one of the best things that's ever happened in my life. And I hope I never leave it, which it's not going to happen, but I hope I never do.
And while a lot of people like to focus on the negative, especially online, where that just gets it's everywhere, because that's what people like to talk about. But it's good to talk about the good things as well. And I think overall, this fandom is a very positive place. It's a very positive experience, both for furries inside of it and for anybody who interacts with it outside of the fandom. If you open up your mind and you're not a furry, but you just give it a shot, give it an ear, see what it's about, you'd be surprised.
And because this is coming out after Thanksgiving, I do want to say, I want to thank all the viewers for really supporting us and just being there for us. I know that I've grown as a person over time. I've learned new things about myself. I've learned new things about our fans. And really, I think it's this podcast that really brings the best of me out. And I love reading the emails. Oh, the emails that come in. I love them. And I may not get back to them right away. I kind of like to save them up for spaced out episodes, but I just love reading them. They make me my heart just melts in the inside. And it's me that's usually responding back to you unless otherwise said, but it's usually me. And I love reaching out to you and then having you guys reach out to us. It's I don't know, it makes me feel like I've done some good in the world for once. Not to say that I haven't done it before. I give a lot of unconditional love wherever I go, but I feel like I've done more here in the fandom than I have anywhere else. And I'm so proud of myself for being able to do that, but I'm also just so grateful for everyone else.
I agree. This fandom has done a lot, just both for us as a podcast, me as an individual person, and obviously for you as well, Space. And I think we don't think about that as much as we should.
No.
And thank you guys for listening. Thank you for emailing us. Our emails are getting more and more populated every week, and it's so awesome.
I get an email every day. Can I just tell you that now?
That's amazing.
I get little notifications every day that someone sent in an email or they've replied back to their email and they're like, hey, I have something else to add. And I'm just like, awesome. This is awesome. We had to beg for it before, but now we're just getting them. They're just rolling in.
It's so great.
It's the best. Well, that's the end of our episode. If you guys ever have any questions, you can always reach out to us. We have Twitter, which is @FromTheMuzzle. And if Twitter somehow goes down between now, then we also have our chat, which is available on every episode you can find. We're on Facebook, which is facebook.com/ straight from the muzzle. We also have our YouTube that will be updating soon because that's a thing again. For us. And then TikTok. We'll actually be starting up on TikTok. I don't know what we're going to do, but I'm sure you and a few others will know what to do on our team.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll
me some good furry TikToks.
Yeah. But if you want to email us, it's talktothemuzzle@gmail.com. And what else? Is that it?
I think that's it, lovelies.
Okie dokie, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a great set of holidays. And we'll see you guys in the new year.
Have a good year.
Bye.